You look like you could use some deep relaxation and some decompression time. If you wouldn't mind, I would love to give you a massage, starting first with the face. I know a little bit about quite a few different modalities and techniques, so we would be pulling out little moves from lots of different types of massage, and then we can move to the body as well. Does that sound like something you'd be interested in? Wonderful. So I'm going to start with a dry massage with the face, and then I do have some massage medium here. So from this point onwards, I will need to be touching you. Is that okay with you? I have your consent to do that. Wonderful. So let's begin with one of our very easiest and well-known techniques. Just a little bit of Effleurage. This is a French name. It's for the stroking movements of massage. And while it's part of Swedish massage, we can see these stroking movements in quite a bit of different types of massage. So here we're just essentially warming up the skin and getting the face ready for some of our deeper or more firm work. If at any point you feel like the pressure is too much, not enough, or something is painful, do let me know. Alright? This is supposed to be restoring and rejuvenating to your body and mind. Good. Now I'd like to work with a bit of lymphatic drainage techniques since we're doing the dry massage. So I'm going to come in here right above these supraclavicular nodes, and we're going to do just a bit of skin deep pressure to open up the nodes, and then the neck here. So we're moving in what's called a stationary circle. I move down and then let the skin guide me back up. And we can come around the pre-auricular nodes here. Smooth this back. We're just opening all these little nodes so that the work we do allows any excess fluid to go back to the lymph nodes, which will take that back to the circulatory system. Good. and we can just smooth this down and get some of that out of the way. Across the nose. There. Down. So one of my particular favorite facial massage moves is something from Ayurveda, and this is called brow pinching, but it's more that we're doing these little kneading movements basically. So we can just pinch away at the brows. And this gives a temporary lift to the eyes, since we're bringing all that circulation in here. And then the other side. Good. Then we can press in on what's known as marma points, which are similar to, say, acupressure points or acupuncture points. It's the Indian or Ayurvedic equivalent, in terms of definition at least. Just do some pressing in there. Good. Okay, and then let's just do some effleurage to bridge and move the fluid down. Going all the way down to the neck. How is this pressure? Yeah, the fluid movement is very light because the lymph system is not very deep, it's quite shallow. Now let me work into the jaw here, and we'll get another Swedish massage technique. This is Trapezius or Kneading, and I can put a good amount of force in one hand at a time. So this is the masseter muscle. Very powerful muscle, but also can be a very tense muscle. This is where we have the temporomandibular joint, which allows the mandible to move. If you get really tight in this area, which then often puts pressure on the rest of the head, you can get stress headaches from it. We could do a myofascial release inside the mouth, in which we hook into the muscle back in here and press and give it some pressure, sustained pressure until it releases. And just work with that, a little bit of muscle energy perhaps, to allow that some more movement. And then it's just a matter of stretching it out once in a while. Let's get some of our massage medium. Make sure my hands are moisturized so that my skin doesn't suck up the medium before we even work with you. Good. This has the added benefit of being quite moisturizing. We'll just get some of the moisture in there. And go over everything with some effleurage down into the neck. I think we're going to move on to the body now that we have the face covered. We got in our effleurage, our bit of petrissage, some of those techniques. I'm going to get you set up. I'll see you in just a moment. Are you comfortable like this? Is there anything I can do to make this more comfortable? Is the temperature with the blanket okay? Do you have enough supports? Good. So let me smooth this all out. And we can work on firstly just getting you acquainted with my touch here. Doing a bit of pressure. One might be surprised, but a firm, sustained pressure can do wonders for calming the nervous system and allowing someone to feel safe and taken care of. stroking here. One side and the other to this figure 8 motion. Just warming the muscles up. We can start more up here, and we can work with these wide thumb circles. This is a kneading technique here. We can just work in to the trapezius. Good. And then a nice squeeze, release, squeeze, release, squeeze, release, squeeze. I really want to warm up this area and do some kneading with a bit of pinching between my fingers, rolling the skin. Bringing it back along the scapulae. Do a bit of cross friction here. And start just up here on the upper portion. Residual medium. Don't need much else right now. Let's just pull back with one hand, push with the other. Push with the other. We can do this sort of lobster claw movement up, just kind of that kneading and skin rolling that we did vertically. Now we're working horizontally. I think what I want to do here more specifically is I want to get into a bit of myofascial release, a little bit of trigger point. Do maybe a little acupressure, just depending on the area. So let's start in here. We're gonna do, how about here? That's pretty tender. I'm going to press my thumbs in, and this is going to be a firm pressure here, and I'm waiting for everything to open up. I'm paying attention to how the muscles and the fascia feels underneath. Wait for it to unwind. Push a little bit more. And then pull back. We can target some muscle knots this way. Press in. Wait for that to start to unknot. Press a little deeper and release. And how is this? Pressure's okay. That's good. Okay. What about in here? Good. And release. Right. And we can get a bit of stretchy in here as well. Can pull up and stretch the skin, let it go. Pull, get that bit of tension, let it go. One side of the spine and over the other side. Good. Do some pressing. Pressing, release, pressing, release, pressing, release. What about the mid and low back here? Stretch this out, release, stretch this out, release. Get a few stretches in here, quite gentle because we haven't warmed up the lower part as much as the upper part was warmed up. Just giving that little bit of tension. Be careful with this one here. Okay. And then maybe we do a bit of pulling each way here. Good. part here. Around the hip. And maybe we press in a bit here and wait for the muscle to open up. A little bit more release. Press. Release. Release. Just doing some random kneading in circles, one side and the other. And we can go up the spine, either side of the spine here. Good. And let's work with some finger pressures here. Down a bit, pressing in. It's not as deep as our trigger point or myofascial relief, and it's quicker. This we can get more into like acupressure. Finger pressures are pretty common, just like stroking in different modalities. People really like their finger pressures all over the world. Good. Working around the shoulder blades, way to the sides. Working down, row by row, mapping the back into this sort of grid. You ever happen to have your ribs lifted or your rib cage lifted? Now that sounds very strange. It's an interesting move that I'll show you in just a minute. But it almost feels like, since your rib cage is being supported, that you can breathe a little more fully and the full body is really able to get into it. It's not sort of hampered down. Go around the hips here. And to the sacrum here. So I'm just going to be putting my hands underneath the ribs and doing these sort of lifting motions, kind of this extension. We lift up, release, lift up, release, lift up, release. It's like this mixture of just a little bit of movement and that sustained pressure makes it feel just a lot freer, less restricted. Good. Yeah, it's kind of a strange one, but so many of us breathe primarily from the chest and we keep it localized. But the whole body is involved in the act of breathing. I mean, just your diaphragm here. A lot of people don't breathe into the diaphragm, but this is what's pulling the air in and then pushing it back out. So to have everything just contained in the lungs, you're not getting the full benefit of bringing it down. You should even be able to feel the lower back expand because your ribs move to help make room for all of that air. You can feel it in your back. It's quite an interesting one. But we don't exactly have a manual for how our body is meant to do things. We're all just kind of winging it. Random stroking movements. Good. Let's just pull up a little bit and stretch out the muscles here. Put a little bit of traction and stretch everything out. Good. Free up some of the skin and the fascia. sometimes these things can get kind of stuck together. We can stretch things out a little bit to unglue some of it. We can pull up on the skin, these little pinching movements that we can try to pull the skin from the fascia and vice versa. Is this pressure okay? Sometimes this one can feel unpleasant if it's all really glued together. Okay. And then we can go in with some sliding here. Let the skin roll above our fingertips here. Some kneading and some squeezing back into the shoulders. Like a cat making biscuits, just kind of kneading everything down. One hand on the sacrum, one hand just get a little bit of pulling, a little bit of stretch. Okay, let's finish go. Now you are more than welcome to stay here as long as you'd like and just bask in the relaxation, or you can go on with the rest of your day if you have other things to do. I'd like to thank you for coming here for this massage. I hope you have a whale of a day and a good rest of your night. Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed this video, it would greatly help me out if you clicked the like button and left a comment so YouTube's algorithm registers that it was a good video. If you want to see more of my work, consider subscribing to the channel. I create primarily medical, pseudoscience / alternative medicine, and personal attention ASMR roleplays. But I've done a little bit of everything from historical to sci-fi to fantasy. If you'd like to support the channel, I offer ad-free videos, early access on videos, and exclusive content on Patreon. Or I also have a Ko-Fi